And we are back. As we were saying, we were taking a brief pause, a brief break, but we are going back to Turkey to broadcast live the main protocol events in this inauguration ceremony for the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. As we can see in these live images, he's entering the premises of the presidential palace, the presidential complex, the seat of the presidency in Ankara. This is one of the top places and the top sites in Ankara for the government. One is the counterpart of the government, the Legislative Palace, where the president was taking his oath of office priorly and earlier this morning. There he was in the parliament. After that, he was entering the mausoleum dedicated to the leader of the Turkey's republic, the founder father, I beg your pardon there, of Turkey, Atatürk, and now he's accompanied by his entourage entering the premises of the presidential complex. This is one of the main premises of his government. Let's recall some of the main highlights, the highlights of the day. During his moment of paying homage in the mausoleum of Atatürk, the president outlined one of the main guidelines, the main points of his new term. One of them is the assistance to the victims of the earthquake, but also he was referring to his bliss of serving, because let's remember, Erdogan is paying a new 5-year term, so he is serving for 2 decades now with a 3rd term. Now we see the attendance, the main guests to this inauguration ceremony. There are 78 countries who sent delegations to this inauguration ceremony in Ankara. Now we see these 78 countries, they sent the heads of state and also prime ministers, the top representations of each country. Attending the inauguration among the heads of state in the region, we know there is Nikol Pashinyan, the Prime Minister of Armenia, and also from Latin America, there is the President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, who is attending the ceremony and arrived yesterday in Ankara. And also there is the Prime Minister of Cuba, Miguel Manuel Marrero. Now we see this moment, this arrival of President of Turkey, and we see the National Guard wearing the traditional costumes that remember the Ottoman Empire era in customs and culture. And also this is a historical display because it's not only a political moment, it's a historical moment for Turkey and for the region. Let's remember that Turkey was the point of convergence between the West and the other exotic, for saying that, the other part of the of rich languages, of rich culture, mathematics, of architecture, of arts, and also that made a really wealthy culture that was the bridge between the 2 worlds. So that was one of the main cultural foundations of Turkey, and it remains in their pride, in their collective thinking, and in their identity as a country. Turkey is the key between Eurasia and Europe. In that case, it joins 2 different cultures. It is the mediator, the cultural mediator, the historical midpoint between these 2 parts of a big continent, but 2 different cultures, 2 different worldviews, and 2 different interests regarding politics, regarding culture, regarding language, and also regarding arts and development. Turkey has been receiving the best of the 2 worlds and is also well self-conscious regarding this role, and well self-conscious of the role it could play in the future between these 2 parts of the world, these 2 main parts of the world that are seeing the rising of the East and the roles of the West. Culturally, Turkey had the arts and the representation of both parts of the world. Now we see the heads of states, the prime ministers, and the top figures that were invited, that were coming to attend this inauguration ceremony. As one of the main points and the main highlights is the venues chosen for this inauguration ceremony that is also experiencing delays because of the rain. We were saying that in prior news briefs. Is delayed because of the rains, the downpours that are affecting Ankara. But these venues are saying much of this inauguration ceremony. They are saying more than we think, because this is not a still ceremony. This is not one site, one venue ceremony. This is a multi-venue ceremony that is telling a lot of the transcendence of this moment, because it started in the parliament. It started paying respect to the constitution and paying respect to the main guidelines set by this body, the parliament, the lawmakers. Then also President Erdogan attended the mausoleum of Atatürk, the founding father of the Republic of Turkey. That says a lot about his historical foundations, his desire to continue with the founding ideals of Turkey, with the core of what Turkey represents, not only for the region, but also for itself. Okay, the collective thinking, the collective feeling, the collective pride, why not to say that, the collective pride of Turks. And now he is finally entering the premises of this presidential complex that is packed with prime ministers and presidents from 78 countries of the world. So that says a lot about the respect that Turkey is gaining and the significance of Turkey in this new role mediating between the West and the East in the current conflicts, the current geopolitics, and the role it comes to play in the worldwide politics and the worldwide decision-making, which is very, very, very crucial point for Turkey and for President Erdogan. We take back the signal to the presidential premises in Turkey, in Ankara precisely, and we see how these are setting the details for this inauguration ceremony, and it's expected that the president takes the floor, that the president gives his remarks, and also it is expected that after an official dining with the other heads of state, the president announces a new cabinet. Let's remember, all the members of the parliament were re-elected or were elected with these general elections held back in April. And now the president is going to choose and to pick his ministers, and he's going to to conform his cabinet to govern for the next 5 years. He will be ruling the next 5 years, as that is the dictate of the constitution of Turkey. Erdogan, who is 69 years old, won a new 5-year term in a runoff presidential race last week that it will stretch his 20-year-old ruling. We were watching these live images. We have these details. We have these key elements of this inauguration ceremony of Turkey's president-elect Recep Tayyip Erdogan, as he is going to assume office, to take office for a 5-year term, and this is going to stretch his term in office, his time in office, for 20 years. Let's remember, this inauguration is attended by 78 countries who sent their top officials, not only their prime ministers, but also their heads of state. Also, this inauguration ceremony has been taking place in 3 different venues. It's not only one venue inauguration ceremony. It's not a standing ceremony, it's a moving ceremony, and that says a lot about the trajectory of the President Erdogan. Let's remember, President Erdogan is expected to reshuffle a cabinet to choose new ministers to govern alongside him. He is also expected to dine and wine with the heads of state of 78 countries and the prime ministers of those countries. He's also expected to address these guests and to announce this cabinet. One of the main promises of Erdogan was not only to reshuffle cabinet, but also to reform the constitution, to take a changing point of view regarding the constitution and to address two main domestic issues. One of them is the presence of thousands of Syrian refugees and of Syrian displaced inside the territory of Turkey, and to address the victims or to find a crucial solution to the victims of the earthquakes of February the 6th. Also, let's remember, Erdogan is 69 years old, as he has been ruling for over 10 years in Turkey, and he's going to reach the 2 decades in power after this third term in office. Also, Turkey is one of the main members of NATO, accounting with the second largest army in the organization, but also in the other side of this argument, of this characteristic, of this key feature of Turkey, is also the role of this nation as mediator in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, and its role in brokering a deal between these nations and with the UN to supply food and to supply grain and fertilizers to the most in need countries in the world. Now let's listen to this moment that is taking place inside the presidential premises and is accompanied with music. Also, let's recall, 78 countries sent their delegations, and this is really, really interesting. The Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, is present at this inauguration ceremony, and also the Prime Ministers of Sweden and of Finland, who are also bidden to be part of NATO, and they are betting on Hungary's and Turkey's green light, Turkey's permission, Turkey's vote or veto to ascend or not into NATO's membership. Also, this is one of the top political events of 2023 that is not in doubt, because it marks the continuity of one government that has seen many high points in Turkey and many high points and low points in the region. Being in term, being in office, being in power for 20 years for Erdogan, he saw not only this new conflict between Russia and Turkey, he saw also many regional conflicts, like the one between Armenia and Kazakhstan for the Nagorno-Karabakh borderline region. It also saw the ascension of Russia and the ascension of China in other regional blocs and in other international organizations. And this is one of the main elections of the year, because it's falling in line with other presidential campaigns and other big elections in the world. All the guests are standing to receive President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's entrance as he is coming into this main hall of the premises of the presidential complex in Ankara. It is expected that Erdogan makes an entrance in any second. Now the main gates are opened by the National Guard, and the president, alongside his wife, are entering the premises, and they are received with a standing ovation by these countries' representatives, these top officials of 78 nations that came not only to be here, but to show their respect and to show their desire to accompany the processes of Turkey and to acknowledge the role of Turkey in the worldwide politics and the worldwide geopolitics and economy. The president is waving the crowd, he is greeting the crowd alongside his wife, and he is entering the premises and is expected to take the floor in any minute. And now let's listen to this moment. Let's listen to the ambience of this moment. And President-elect of Turkey is greeting the main guests, and he's also giving his greeting, his salute to the front row, and is really outstanding in the presence of 78 countries in his inauguration ceremony, and he was shaking hands with this front row of presidents, of prime ministers, and top representatives. Among the presidents in this front row is the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, who is accompanied by his wife, the first combatant, Cilia Flores. They were there in the front row, and let's recall something really important, because one of the main highlights may be the role of Turkey in the regional geopolitics in Eurasia, but also we have to recall and remember the role of Turkey and the cooperation and the relationships of Turkey with Latin America. Because Latin America, and there is no doubt, is one of the main regions in terms of natural resources and in terms of prospects of potential in technology and in agriculture in the world. And Turkey has a really close relationship with Brazil and with other countries. We see that's Jens Stoltenberg, the representative of NATO, the head of NATO, of this organization, this military organization that comprises several Western countries and Turkey. As we were saying, Turkey has a really close cooperation with South American nations. One of them is Venezuela, and the other one is Cuba, for example, one of the Latin American countries that Turkey is really close to. Let's recall that the presidents of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, and the president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, both of them visited Ankara last year. A year ago, in June of 2022, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, in his Eurasian tour, and he visited Ankara, and he was received there by the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. They were attending several common issues and several points of convergence between the two nations in economy and in potential development. Those were education, those were communications, telecommunications specifically, technology, and the development of agricultural projects. So this is one of the main allies, the main brotherly nations in Latin America for Turkey, and Not in vain, the president of Venezuela is sitting front row in this crowd of the mandatories and the heads of state and the prime ministers of 78 countries in the world that are attending this ceremony. Also in the front row was Jens Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, because as we remember, Turkey is one of the main members of NATO and is the country with the second largest army in this military association, just falling behind the US. Those are paramount data, that is paramount information. Now he's greeting the Middle Eastern representatives and the African countries that sent their delegations and are attending this inauguration ceremony. Turkey has not abandoned its compromises, its commitments with African countries and other Middle Eastern countries, as Turkey is one of the countries that is trying to provide or trying to mediate in the supply of grain and the supply of foodstuffs for several African countries. One of those countries is Zimbabwe, that, as we know, is reliant of aid because of the heavy sanctions imposed on this government, and Turkey has been providing this access for Zimbabwe to be granted grains and foodstuffs and technology coming from Ukraine and coming from Russia. Also the fertilizers, because the fertilizers are arriving to Africa thanks to the mediation of Turkey and the mediation of United Nations, brokering this grains deal, the Black Sea grain deal, between the warring sides, that is allowing the passage of the ships loaded with grain and foodstuffs. Also, Turkey was mediating between Russia and the West in the case of the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines that provide gas and provide energy supplies for Europe. In this case, because of the heavy sanctions imposed on Russia after the conflict in Ukraine erupted in February 2022, these pipelines have been affected, and also the pipelines submerged in the Black Sea in Crimea also were affected by terrorist actions by Kiev, allegedly. But in this case, Turkey was mediating to support the project, to finish the project, and to make viable the supply of these energy resources to Europe. 78 countries, that is not a little or a mild figure, I think. That's not a little figure for attendees to the ceremony of the inauguration ceremony of a president. But in this case, this is his third term. He's not a rookie in the power, he's not a rookie in the presidency of a country, and less to the presidency of Turkey. Now we see all the attendees are standing. They are standing to greet and to salute the new president, the re-elected president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is also greeting them, waving them, shaking their hands, and he is accompanied by his wife, the First Lady of Turkey, and now they are sitting to be part and to attend this inauguration ceremony. All the guests are taking the seats and all the details are set to start this protocol and this part and this activity of the inauguration ceremony. as we were saying and as we were watching, 78 countries sent their top and high officials to this inauguration ceremony of the President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Among them, there are 21 heads of state. 21 presidents came to Ankara and arrived in Ankara to pay their respect and to attend to this ceremony of inauguration of the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And also, there are 13 prime ministers, 13 president, or I beg your pardon, the chief of government of 13 nations also are attending this ceremony of inauguration of the president-elect Recep Tayyip Erdogan. We are expecting the remarks by the president-elect Recep Tayyip Erdogan in any moment. He is expected to take the floor for the second time in this inauguration ceremony. Priorly, he addressed the nation and he made some statements at the mausoleum of the founding father of Turkey, Atatürk. He there was referring to several domestic affairs he has to tackle and he has to address during his third term in office. In that case, he was referring first and foremost to his will to serve. He's not saying his will to rule, his will to serve to the Turkish people. And he also was referring to the conditions and the need of aid and the need of assistance of the victims of the earthquakes of February the 6th, and also he was saying the need to attend the necessities and the situation of the Syrian displaced and the Syrian refugees that are living in Turkish territory. Let's recall that dozens of foreign dignitaries traveled to attend the ceremony, including NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who we saw in the front row of this inauguration ceremony, in the front row of the guest seats. And there is also the Swedish Prime Minister and other prime ministers of 13 nations of the region and the world. They are also expected to attend this ceremony, as they are also waiting for the vote of Turkey and Hungary regarding their accession to NATO. This is to say Sweden, and this is to say Finland. Other leaders in attendance include Azerbaijan's Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. Also, we saw in the front row the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, one of the main leaders and the main players in international geopolitics, as South Africa is one of the key members of the BRICS and is one of the key members of the ECOWAS and of the members of South African and African organizations, and leads Africa in terms of local politics and is a mediator in local conflicts. Also, there is Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, the President of Pakistan Shehbaz Sharif, and the President of Libya Abdul Hamid Dbeya. All of these are top leaders in the regions, and they are coming to attend this ceremony. Let's remember, Turkey is facing a crisis of the cost of living fueled by inflation, and 85% of inflation back in October, that was a peak there, and it lowered to 44% in last month. In the month of May, it saw a decrease of inflation, so the economy maybe is growing and the economy is maybe easing now after this peak in October 2022. Also, let's recall, this is one of the main issues that the administration of President Erdogan must tackle and must address, and that is the loss of value of the Turkish currency facing the dollar after the local conflicts and after the global fallout after the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, Turkey is facing several regional disputes and several regional issues, and in this case, its role as a mediator between Russia and Ukraine has favored its position in geopolitics, but maybe has took a toll on its national economy and over the national currency. Erdogan was in power as the prime minister and then as the president since 2003, and he is already Turkey's longest-serving leader. He has solidified his rule through the constitutional changes that transformed Turkey's presidency from a largely ceremonial role to a powerful office, because the role of Turkey's presidency was barely a symbol, barely ceremonial, barely protocolar, and thanks to the changes to the constitution and thanks to his bids, now Erdogan has transformed the presidency of Turkey to a role of power, to a key role, a fundamental office for the uphold of the nation's economy and the nation's politics. Also, let's recall that President Erdogan defeated his opposition challenger, his main rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, in a runoff vote held on May 28th, after he failed to secure an outright victory in the first round of voting on May 14th. Kılıçdaroğlu promised to put Turkey on a more democratic path and improve relations with the West. And also, let's recall that Kılıçdaroğlu had made a promise to expel and to find a radical policy towards the Syrians living in Turkey and other foreign immigrants that are living in Turkey. He made a turn to the radical right, and those were his promises during the campaign. And let's recall that maybe the main focus of today, despite this ceremony, which is one of the main ceremonies of the day, is his re-election of a cabinet, he picking a cabinet. Now, there are one of the moments of the inauguration ceremony, and there is a speaker addressing the crowd, addressing these top officials of 78 countries of the world that sent their prime ministers and their heads of state. The crowd is standing. Every guest is standing. So in this moment, every guest is standing. Now we see the president accompanied by his wife. They are attending this moment in respect. This is one of the protocolar moments of the inauguration ceremony in this big hall, the main hall of the presidential premises, the presidential complex, the seat of the presidency in Ankara, Turkey. Let's recall, this ceremony of inauguration of the President of Turkey is attended by 78 countries' top representatives, the top officials of 78 nations. There is the presence of prime ministers and also presidents. Mesut Ozil, the soccer player, the football player, is attending this ceremony as he is a national of Turkey and he is paying his respects to the president-elect of this nation. He's one of the main guests, the figures that are attending this ceremony, the key figures in religion, in politics, in culture and sports that are also invited to this inauguration ceremony and that are now attending this moment. The guests are standing, no, they are sitting, they are taking their seats. And this is part of the protocolar events, of the main events of this inauguration ceremony. Let's see some reactions, because we have some other reactions to this. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, tweeted that he is glad to be there, present at the inauguration ceremony of the President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is now approaching to the main stage and is expected to take the floor. He is received with an ovation, a standing ovation, and let's listen to his remarks.
Buyurun, buyurun. Aziz milletim, değerli devlet ve hükümet başkanları,
esteemed heads of state and government,
meclis başkanları
valuable speakers of
ve devlet
parliaments,
başkanı yardımcıları,
valuable
değerli ülke
deputy
temsilcileri,
presidents,
yurt içinden
valuable
ve
members
yurt dışından
of
gelen
various
değerli
countries,
dostlarım,
dear friends
hanımefendiler, beyefendiler,
from
sizleri en kalbi
our country and from
duygularımla,
abroad,
hürmetle,
ladies and gentlemen,
muhabbetle
I
selamlıyorum.
would like to greet each and every one of you wholeheartedly, with respect and compassion.
Sizleri bu tarihi törenimiz münasebetiyle
On the occasion of this historic ceremony, I am pleased to see you at the presidential complex, the home of the nation, which has been honored with the station of being a veteran venue on the night of July the 15th. I'm very much honored, and I would like to thank to each and every one of you for having attended to this ceremony of ours. And at the outset of my words, I would like to state that I'm grateful to God for He has blessed us with the chance of serving Turkey and the Turkish nation for 5 more years. With their votes, with their kindness and support, my nation, all members of my nation, I would like to extend my gratitude to each and every one of them. One more time, they have seen us as deserving the presidential position, and I would like to thank to my more than 20.3 million brothers and sisters, each and every one of them, even though some of my citizens have voted otherwise but went to the ballot boxes and contributed to democracy. I would like to thank to them and congratulate them. There have been many who traveled kilometers afar and did deliver on their tasks of citizenship, Turkish abroad. I would like to, in particular, extend my special thanks to them. On February the 6th, we experienced the disaster of the century. And because of their choices of votes, there have been many citizens who have had to endure numberless insults, but also survivors of the earthquake. I would like to one more time extend my gratitude and pay my respects to them, for they have owned up to their will going to the ballot boxes. In this election, we have not only received the support of our own people, however, from across the world. Hundreds of millions of oppressed people and their hearts went out for us. We have gotten their prayers. When Turkey's name is mentioned, many brothers and sisters who feel happy with us, who feel sad with us, who cry along with us, I would like to thank to them, all my brothers and sisters, and I also would like to extend my gratitude to all heads of state and government who called and shared their best wishes and congratulations following the declaration of the results. From Africa to Asia, in all our geography of hearts, we have seen the floods of love that did flow across the streets. We will not forget these either. And along with that, we will not also forget the attempts of intervention with the national will through some magazine covers. In my person, this great love for Turkey will be returned in the most beautiful way as we shall try. May God
dostlarımıza mahcup etmesin diyorum.
never make us feel ashamed
Aziz milletim, değerli dostlar,
before our people, our own, and all our friends. Distinguished friends, Turkey has now left behind very successfully with flying colors one of the most important elections of her history. On May 14, the parliamentary dimension of the election was thankfully successfully completed with the People's Alliance claiming of 323 seats. However, in the first round of the election, in the presidential elections, because of the condition of 50+1, we went on to the runoff elections. However, our nation, to complete what they left unfinished with a ratio of 0.5, went to the ballot boxes. Again, the turnout in the first election went beyond 87%, and in the second tour, in the runoff, a record-breaking figure again took place, which was more than 85%, and our people flew to the ballot boxes, to the stations, and on May 28 elections, by claiming 52.18% of the votes, I have been honored with the chance of serving Turkey and the Turkish nation for 5 more years.
bu ulvi görevin uğruna ve yoluna
For this sacred task,
ve insanlığa
to all our geography and our geography of hearts, and to my country to which I have devoted my life. Hopefully it will be auspicious, and our effort and trust to us and to our party will not go in vain, and we will continue producing great works and projects for Turkey with the principle that he who works with love will never feel tired. Regardless of ethnicity, roots, or whatsoever, we will be embracing all 85 million people of this country. Throughout our office of more than 21 years, we have always preserved this sensitivity, and we have never cared for the belief of anyone or the color of their votes, the separation or region orientation or discrimination. Such was never practiced, and we said, make the people live, so the state lives on. As Yunus Emre said, we said also that we love the created because of the Creator. Just like Ahmedi Hani, we said, human is the greatest embroiderment that has been drawn with the greatest pen, and we do follow the same light, same beacon of services, and we defend the same services today. Hacı Bektaş, Yunus Emre, Mevlana, Pir Sultan, and Ahmedi Hani. We do call with a language of love. Hate, grudge, or dissension are not put to the foreground. On the contrary, tolerance, embracing one another, brotherhood, fraternity are elevated with this understanding, and we should all come together, love and be loved, we say. And this sincere call, all colors of it, all its riches, and with all its differences, will resonate, I believe, and I believe truly and wholeheartedly that it will resonate to all 85 million of this country. The energy contribution ideas of all 85 million people of Turkey will be needed, and Turkey needs all members of the 85 million population, just like the bricks of a wall. We need to be intertwined and fully integrated. We need unity and integration more than ever. Turkey needs that more than ever. And as a nation, we have to rebuild that strong togetherness again. My dear friends, I would like to underline from here and reiterate that as of May 28, the election period has now come to an end, and the national will manifested at the ballot boxes twice, and the nation made its definite decision. Following the closing of ballot boxes and declaration of the results of the elections, Turkey has now entered into a new path. God willingly, the century of Turkey has now started, and the doors of glory for our country have now been opened. And tonight, hopefully, we will be announcing our new cabinet, and with the new cabinet we will be embroidering the century of Turkey stitch by stitch. And without further ado, on Tuesday, we will be carrying out our first presidential cabinet meeting. Being stuck on the election agenda means making Turkey go round and around. Going to the old books has no benefit to the country or to the nation. We should all concentrate on the future, look into the future, and be in a struggle to say new things. From the past, from the mistakes of the past, we should draw lessons and be exerting efforts to build the future. In the post-election period, we have always made our accounts and have had a tradition to renew itself, to update itself, tackling our mistakes, our shortcomings, further strengthening what we have been resilient about. We have made it to this very day, and following every election we opened a new page. We have never went around holding some to account or returning a match or a revenge. We have never diverted from justice, even though we had to endure bias and injustice. And we have always spoken with the language of compassion with the people who did not even cast their votes to our favor. And we have enlarged our humbleness together with our pride. But in all 17 elections we emerged victorious in. We have not seen so far a similar behavior and attitude as such from the opposition. The biggest shortcoming we have in this country is an attitude by the opposition. Instead of the good of the nation, they went after their own small calculations. Rather than making sincere self-criticism, they always looked for the causes of their mistakes in people. And following almost every elections, they have returned the hands we put out to shake with their hands clenched and fisted. And in this regard, the opposition, we hope, will act with an awareness of responsibility. Journalists, columnists, writers, NGOs, politicians, artists, and everyone from the opposition. Now we want them to make peace with the national will. With the excitement of making it to the centenary of the foundation of our republic, we believe that Turkey has a need for a great embracing. And in all 81 provinces of our country, in all its districts and villages and everywhere of it, I invite all to start a mobilization of such. The day is the day to be one and to further reinforce our brotherhood. It is the day now to own up to the bright futures of our children. Let's now put aside all offenses and anger in the pre-election period aside. Now, if some hearts are broken, now let's come and look for the ways to make a peace. Now let's come all to bear the construction of the century of Turkey altogether, and celebrate this centennial of the foundation of our republic in a spirit that would befit to its glory and repute. And let's all observe it, experience that beauty together. And inshallah, I have no doubt that we will achieve that altogether. And in advance, I would like to thank to all my citizens who have now accepted my invitation. Distinguished guests, May 14 and May 28th election results, of course, have numerous meanings. Our people owned up to their democratic gainings and said to us, "You shall not stop, but continue working." But of course, not enough. They asked us to continue producing great works and services. Attempts to overshadow the national will have been frustrated now. Just like a century ago, proposals of mandate and patronage again have been refused by our nation. Our politics of service and great work has outperformed populism, and it has been one more time understood that the foresight of our nation should never be underestimated. Since 1950, almost every decade military coups took place. However, Turkish democracy wounded by that has once again proven to the whole world its resilience and consolidation of democracy. The slanders of dictatorship and autocracy, those who failed in the election now have turned out to be empty in all their insults. And for decades, all campaigns ran against our country now have been upset with this election, and we not only have done that, but we did also ensure our future, and we have seen that our country, our people have seen that. A century ago, our nation completed its national independence movement with the establishment of the Republic, and now in the second century of it, we will be building our century of Turkey, and in the next 5 years to come, we will be doing that step by step. And just like over the past 21 years, we will make come true all we promised one by one, just like we did that in the past 21 years. We will be liberating our democracy from the constitution, which has been the product of a military coup, and we will strengthen it further with democracy. Production, employment, export, production, and current account surplus will be on what we will make our country grow further. As Ghazi Mustafa Kemal said, peace at home, peace in the world will be put into practice in true sense of the words, as we are determined absolutely for it. And we will not do that by going introverted and watching all incidents from over the stands. However, by further expanding our sphere of democracy and politics. As a head of a state shown with kindness by the nation twice, now we have a stronger hand, and now the international public opinion, we will be a country which is taking more role and which will have more say, and who will run strongly and faster. And we will see a Turkey which will be standing by the oppressed and downtrodden more boldly. In the new era, our interlocutors inside and outside our borders will see our more determined fight against terror groups. And in the blue homeland, it will see a country that cares for the rights and interests of her own and her brothers, and from democracy to education, from industry to all. A country which will be raising the bar higher and higher. A country that is more determined, a country that is more compassionate, a country that is stronger. This is what they will see for the next 5 years to come, to protect the glory and the repute of the Republic of Turkey, to make her name go to higher grounds. We will be working with all in our power, we promise, for the unity of our country, and unconditional and unquestionable sovereignty of our nation will be protected at all platforms and on all grounds. We will be showing the efforts, and God will show His grace. With this understanding, we say Bismillah for the construction of the century of Turkey. And inshallah, tonight we will be announcing our new cabinet members, and we will be setting sail on this path, if you will. May God keep our path clear. With these thoughts in mind, I once again would like to express my gratitude to the President of Venezuela, who has come all the way from afar and who is with us now. Likewise, I would like to thank to my dear friend, dear brother, the President of Azerbaijan, my dear brother, Ilham Aliyev. I would like to welcome you again. Likewise, the President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, I would like to welcome my brother again. And using this opportunity, the President of the TRNC, and to the Prime Minister, I would like to thank very much, and all from the Turkic states. To the President of Kazakhstan, I would like to extend my gratitude before you all. The number of presidents, of course, is very high here. If I am to mention all of them, probably I would have to make another speech. But all presidents of Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Prime Minister of Pakistan, my brother, especially to the Secretary General of NATO, Mr. Stoltenberg, I would like to thank to you all. And together with all that, I also would like to mention that I wish I could mention everyone by their names, but we have some issue, as you would reckon, in terms of time. But we will be together at a dinner tonight, and we will have great talks. And of course, I also would like to state that the People's Alliance in this process put up with this together, and I also would like to thank to Mr. Devlet Bahçeli on behalf of all my colleagues, all my friends, and I also would like to extend my personal thanks to him.
Aynı şekilde yine bu süreç içerisinde
Likewise,
beraber bu mücadeleyi
in
sürdürdüğümüz
this process,
yeniden Refah
we
Partisi
had
Genel
this
Başkanı'nın
effort ongoing together with the president, with the chairperson of Yeniden Refah Party, and also the president, the chairperson of Hüdapar.
ve yine
And again,
aynı şekilde bu süreç
likewise,
içerisinde
in this
beraber
process,
yürüdüğümüz Önder Bey'e yine çok teşekkür ediyorum.
to Mr. Önder, with whom we walked
Ve yine
together,
özellikle bizlerle beraber yola devam eden ve
and
bu süreç içerisinde
for walking,
adeta
continuing
noktayı beraber
the path with us, and who helped us put a full stop
Genel
to
Başkan'a da özellikle huzurlarınızda
it,
çok
to the
teşekkür ediyorum.
chairperson.
Herhalde artık unuttuğumuz filan Mustafa Destici Bey'e burada mı görmedim?
To Mustafa
Teşekkür
Destici.
ediyorum.
Is he here? I could not see him.
Evet ve huzurlarınızda
And
yine
again,
Sinan Bey'e de çok teşekkür
to
ediyorum.
Mr. Sinan Oğan, I would like to thank very much.
Cumhurbaşkanları olarak aramızda bulunanlardan şu anda
And now we have the President of Bulgaria.
Ona da teşekkür ediyorum.
I'd like to thank to
Cumhurbaşkanı
Mr. Radev and the President of Gabon,
Bongo'ya
my dear friend Ali Bongo.
teşekkür ediyorum.
I would like to thank you very much.
Aynı şekilde yine
Likewise,
Cumhuriyeti Cumhurbaşkanı
the President of the
Dumbo'ya da
Republic of Guinea, to Mamadou Dumbo, I would like to thank you.
yine Bissau Cumhurbaşkanı
And Bissau President
Ömer Sissoko'ya,
Ömer Sissoko,
Karadağ Cumhurbaşkanı
the President
Jakov Milatović'e
of Montenegro,
ediyorum.
Jakovo Milatovic, thank you very much.
Kazakistan Cumhurbaşkanımız Tokayev kardeşimi söyledim.
I mentioned my brother, President
Özellikle
Tokayev,
teşekkür ediyorum.
and to President of Kyrgyzstan. I would like to thank the President of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso. I would like to thank to you very much. Also, the President of Kosovo.
Sayın Osmaniye çok teşekkür ediyorum.
To President Osmani, I would like to thank you.
Kuzey Makedonya Cumhurbaşkanı
The President of North Macedonia, Mandarovsky. Thank you.
Ruanda Cumhurbaşkanı
President of Rwanda.
Evet, Sayın Paul Kagame.
President Paul Kagame.
Somali Federal Cumhuriyeti Cumhurbaşkanı
The President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud. The President of Togo.
Ginasing Bey'e teşekkür ediyorum.
I would like to thank you, the President Grasang, and I mentioned Venezuela, Turkmenistan, and also we have many deputy presidents, many vice presidents. I would like to thank to each and every one of them on behalf of my nation and extend my personal special thanks to each and every one of you. As I conclude with these thoughts in mind, I once again would like to thank to my great nation, all people of my country, all 85 million big family of Turkey for having us experience a great festival of democracy as they went to the poll stations. And using this opportunity, I also would like to thank to our ex-president, Mr. Abdullah Gül, who was my predecessor before. I would like to thank to him as well before you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
All right, you've just been listening there to the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan making possibly one of the most important speeches in his...
And we were listening to Turkey's President-elect Recep Tayyip Erdogan as he addressed the high officials from 78 nations and other guests attending his inauguration ceremony. The president thanked the guests and expressed his gratitude for the term and the vote of Turks and their confidence on him and his office for a new term, and said the latest elections were a display of democracy. Erdogan sent his condolences and sympathies to the families of the victims of February the 6 earthquakes. Also, the president said this is one of the most important elections in Turkey as it saw renewed parliament and a high turnout. Erdogan referred to his administration's respect for all Turks. Also, no matter their origin or religious belief, being Turkey a multi-ethnic country where different religions coexist. Erdogan also announced his first cabinet meeting for next Wednesday, and he called all the high officials to join in solidarity aside of the political affiliation and to work together for the construction of Turkey's future. He reiterated his promise to reform the constitution as it is coming from a coup d'etat era and must be up to the new times and the new realities in Turkey and the world. He thanked several of the guests and attendees coming from all over the world, and especially the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and other heads of state of the region. And this is the acme, the final point, the high point of this inauguration ceremony that saw Erdogan touring Ankara from the parliament premises, then the mausoleum of the founder father of Turkey's republic, Atatürk, and now the presidential premises, this great hall of the presidential premises. As we knew, there are high officials from 78 countries, 78 nations sent their high top officials, and other international organizations, regional blocs also were present there attending this inauguration ceremony. President President Erdogan was also referring to main issues, main domestic issues in his nation.
He is a non-African leader that has visited Africa more than anybody else in his career. So he's no stranger to Africa, has helped revitalize, reshape, and rewrite Turkey's Africa policy. And that's very evident from the participation of many African leaders and ministers at his inauguration. Then another block, let's call Central Asia. You have all the members of the Organization of Turkic States here represented at a presidential head of state level. Also the president of Tajikistan as well, although it's not a member of the Organization of Turkic States, present as well. So this strong contingency from Central Asia being present. Obviously, the Organization of Turkic States, an organization that Erdogan has placed tremendous importance on, working to unify more going forward. And then the Caucasus contingency, when we look at President Aliyev and Prime Minister
going around the globe,
both there together.
Yeah.
And now, as part of this inauguration ceremony, this is one of the protocol events of this ceremony, and that is the respect from the head of state to the religious institutions, and also the blessing, the Godspeed given by these religious institutions to the new head of state. This is part of a protocol event of this official ceremony, and also this is one of the main points of his agenda, as he said in his remarks, that his government is going to respect, as he has done, the multi-ethnic origins of all Turks and the multi-religious beliefs of all Turks. Let's remember, Turkey lays in the middle of the West and in the middle of the East. So it has Islamic religious beliefs from the East, and it has also Christianity and other religious roots from the West. So their convergence made this multi-ethnic and multi-religious country that has to respect these origins of the people and also the beliefs of the people. And he's made a call to tolerance, to religious tolerance regarding the beliefs and regarding the culture, the cultural election of the people. He also was respectful and said this election was a display of democracy, was a show of democracy, as he is thanking not only the people, the millions that voted for him, but also the people that voted against him as a way of participation and of taking part in the decision-making bodies of the country and in the political prospects and landscape of this country. This is a ceremony attended not only by the religious top officials of Turkey, but also by cultural figures, personas from the communications, from sports, from other sectors, and high-profile Turks that are recognized all over the world and are present here, providing their presence in this ceremony, this inauguration ceremony for the president-elect of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Now he's greeting and shaking hands and saluting the heads of state and high officials that are attending his inauguration ceremony. And this is the main event. This is the highlight event of this inauguration ceremony that has been touring the whole city of Ankara as it started in the parliament premises, then to the mausoleum of the founding father of Turkey's republic, Atatürk, and now it concluded in the main hall of the presidential premise in Ankara. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan not only paid respect to the origins and the foundation of his country, but also he was grateful with the many Turks that voted for him and the ones that not, because they were choosing and being in the side of democracy. And also he said he will respect the diversity of Turkey and thank all the heads of state and top officials from 78 countries in the world that are attending his inauguration ceremony. We will have more details regarding this inauguration ceremony and all the events to come. Please stay with us.
There were